In his review of the 1996 film Set It Off, critic Stephen Holden famously wrote that, in formulaic Hollywood terms, the film could be described as Thelma and Louise ride shotgun in the hood while waiting to exhale.
I can't believe you.
Admittedly, it's a clever line, but we need a little more context. Waiting to Exhale had been released just a year prior and was both a critical and commercial success.
And if you've been waiting to exhale, you're not alone.
At the time, it stood out as the only mainstream reference point Hollywood had for a film led by multiple Black women.
I hope, and I'm pretty sure it'll open up a lot of doors.
So when Set It Off arrived with 4 Black women leads of its own, the comparison felt inevitable. Less because the film shared DNA and more because the industry had failed to imagine more than one lane for these women on screen. Waiting to Exhale is a story about friendship, romance, and emotional survival within the bounds of middle-class America. Set It Off is a crime film driven by systemic pressure, economic desperation, and rage. One is about interior lives, the other about a collision with the state. Lumping them together reduces both to a novelty, as if the mere presence of 4 Black women constitutes a genre unto itself. And then there's this whole Thelma and Louise thing, a film that has long been granted the luxury of being read as a myth, allegory, or feminist rupture. These two raise hell and choose to end it on their terms. Its ending is treated as tragic, symbolic, and even beautiful. But spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Thelma and Louise or Set It Off, the main difference between these two films is that Thelma and Louise don't get shot down like a dog in the street. It's 1996, and Los Angeles was still at a breaking point. The 1992 uprising had not yet faded into memory. It lingered in courtrooms, in neighborhoods hollowed out by divestment, and in the strained relationship between the Black community and the institutions who'd historically been their antagonists.
The King verdict and its aftermath have been a violent wake-up call for this country. For the most part, white and Black America remain separate and unequal.
The acquittal of the officers who brutalized Rodney King had exposed a truth many already knew. Accountability was optional, and justice was a myth.
Can we all get along?
In the years that followed, the promised reforms never fully materialized. Economic inequality deepened and policing intensified.
You know, they had a lot of songs out called the police. And honestly, that's how the community felt.
5 years after the Rodney King beating, 4 years after the first police chase was broadcast live into living rooms in LA, and months after the OJ trial turned the justice system itself into mass spectacle, production began on a film attempting to capture what it felt like to live inside that pressure cooker.
I remember going to see Thelma and Louise. What I realized about Thelma and Louise was so powerful was that it was a fantasy of empowerment. And I thought to myself, who could use a fantasy of empowerment more than Black chicks?
New Line Cinema's senior executive, Helena Echegoyen, brought the idea of a female-driven empowerment film to writer Takashi Buford. Buford already had the seed of the story.
I was hanging out in the bar one night and I met a woman and she was from New York. She said, I'm on the down low. I robbed a couple convenience stores in New York. And that just stuck with me. 6-7 months later, I was at a park and I saw 4 women that were, in my mind, realization of the 4 characters.
He began writing the screenplay with the concept of 4 Black women whose circumstances lead them to robbing banks.
Time went by, and then one day he just showed up, and he had 40 pages. He was like, I can't wait anymore. It's a great idea. You just got to do it.
They took the script to New Line 3 times. Each time, executives pushed back, convinced that Black male audiences would not show up for a film about Black women robbing banks.
When I read the script, I said, I have to make this movie.
When F. Gary Gray was in high school, he made a plan. He wanted to break into the industry and direct his first feature film by the time he turned 45. By 27 years old, he was already way ahead of schedule. He started as a camera operator, then moved into directing music videos. In '93, he directed It Was a Good Day for Ice Cube. From there, his career accelerated. He went on to direct videos for Dr. Dre, Outkast, and Queen Latifah, establishing himself as a visual storyteller with credibility inside of hip-hop culture. At just 26 years old, Ice Cube gave Gray his first major break. Cube trusted him enough to hand over the reins to his feature debut, Friday. The New York Times critic wrote that Gray put together a slick, watchable movie that gets by on the strength of its ensemble acting and the constant, enlivening soundtrack.
Okay.
The film debuted at number 2 at the box office and went on to earn nearly 9 times its modest $3.5 million budget.
Man, get your punk ass up. It ain't even wet over here.
It was a clear success, and coming off that momentum, New Line Cinema was eager to get Gray behind the camera again. They wanted another project that matched his voice and instincts. Set It Off felt like the right fit.
I always wanted Set It Off to feel real. And, instead of focusing on looks, focusing on characters.
Buford wrote the script with 2 women in mind, Queen Latifah and Jada Pinkett. He said, "When you are doing a black film, there are only a handful of stars that are bankable to get a black film done." And they were the 2 stars at the time.
We have to take responsibility for what's going on with our images and how we're being represented.
Jada Pinkett was just starting to break through. Just 6 years earlier, after a year at the University of North Carolina School for the Arts, she packed her bags and moved to Hollywood with a deadline. She gave herself 3 months to make it.
I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel good about my people.
Before the clock ran out, she landed a role on the show True Colors, and that was enough to get her back in the audition rooms, this time for the sitcom A Different World. She read for a small 1-episode part, but instead left such a strong impression that Debbie Allen, the show's producer and director, created a lead role just for her.
And I said, wow, you are wonderful. So where are you from? I'm the next Debbie Allen.
Jada Pinkett knew exactly what she wanted, and she was never interested in pretending otherwise. She came out of the Baltimore area, raised by an abusive father and a mother battling addiction. She attended the Baltimore School of the Arts, where she formed a close friendship with the artist Tupac Shakur. Their paths would eventually diverge, and while Tupac became one of the most volatile and influential rappers of the era,
Hey, check this out.
boom! Jada would start making a name for herself too, landing her first feature film role in Menace to Society in 1993, a project Tupac had once been attached to as well.
Check this out. They fired me, but did it in a roundabout punk snitch way.
Her performance drew positive attention, and she followed it with what she would later describe to journalist Roger Moore as small movies, including The Inkwell and Jason's Lyric. These were intimate, character-driven roles that built credibility, not box office dominance. But that was about to change. Gotcha. Her biggest role yet was on the horizon, starring opposite Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor, set to come out in the summer of 1996. By the time Jada received the script for Set It Off, it was still a rough draft, developed with input from Kate Lanier. She was immediately drawn to Cleo, the hot-headed, openly lesbian character.
That was the best part in her mind. That was the juicy character.
But F. Gary Gray saw something else in her. He pushed her toward the role of Stoney.
I convinced her that she had to be the center of reason.
It was a strategic shift. Stoney was a complicated character, someone caught between fury and responsibility. And Jada, carrying everything she had lived through and everything she was becoming, could do both.
This is Queen, catch it, Latifah.
Her friends call her La. Television audiences knew her as Khadijah, but Dana Owens found her stage name when she was just 8 years old. In a book of names, she found the Arabic name Latifah, which meant delicate and kind. She added the queen to it when she began rapping.
When you address me as your highness, one of hip-hop's finest.
By 26 years old, she had already reshaped the music industry. Her debut album, All Hail the Queen, had dropped just 7 years earlier. And the year before Set It Off entered production, she won a Grammy for UNITY. She was outspoken, political, and commercially successful. But she wanted to do more than music.
Yes, may I take your order?
She eased into acting with small appearances in the films Jungle Fever and Juice.
This is totally sloppy. Only a fool would open up the way you do.
While also holding down a lead role on network television as Khadijah James on Living Single. The show was a hit, ranking in the top 5 amongst Black audiences throughout its entire run.
Do you know how degrading it is to get hung up on by Slappy White's manager who doubles as his cook?
But she wanted the public to see her as more than just a sitcom star. She told the Los Angeles Times, "I want to be De Niro.
You talking to me?
I want to be Pacino and Foster and Hanks, but Black. And I've got to put in work to do that." So when the opportunity came to read for Cleo and Set It Off, she was ready. Casting director Robbie Reed recalled that after Latifah's initial audition, she had a blunt phone call with the producers. "I am this. I know this. This is me," she said without hesitation.
Play Cleo, and she's buck as wild, as Jada Pinkett was saying.
Latifah was a little anxious about the public's perception of her taking on the role, wary of how questions might bleed into her own life. But Reed knew exactly what was at stake. She believed the role could do for Latifah what Halle Berry's performance in Jungle Fever had done years earlier, permanently expanding how audiences saw her.
Where the am I supposed to go? I know where the I am. Where you go?
Latifah was already beloved by the public, but she never felt like she owed them anything. She made that very clear to reporter Gene Wolfe, who asked her to comment on her arrest while filming Set It Off in Los Angeles.
She represents a new generation of Hollywood honeys. She's actress Vivica Fox.
Vivica A. Fox was on the verge of becoming a movie star, but her break came from an unlikely place. Jodie Faye, wife of Independence Day executive producer Bill Faye, was a regular viewer of The Young and the Restless. She had taken notice of Vivica's portrayal of Stephanie Simmons, a role she played for 20 episodes. She told her husband to check the young actress out, and soon the production team brought Vivica in to read.
I had to audition 6 times to get the part because I was on a soap opera, Young and the Restless at the time, and I had no movie credits. And I had just did an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will, and I played the date from hell.
No husband of mine is gonna sit around getting fat and watching TV all day and leaving me with all the work of raising 6 kids by myself. Oh no,
After 6 rounds of auditions, she landed the role of Jasmine DeBrow in Independence Day, a part that would place her squarely in the center of what became the defining summer blockbuster of 1996.
Oh yeah, great, now he tells me.
It was the kind of opportunity that shifts a career overnight. Mark! F. Gary Gray came to visit her while Independence Day was filming. He wanted her to audition for Set It Off, but timing was complicated. The role Gray thought she would be perfect for, Frankie, the bank teller and emotional backbone of the film, had already been cast with Rosie Perez. If Vivica could not play Frankie, he wanted her to read for TT. TT was a good character, but she had way less swagger than Frankie. What Vivica did not know at the time was that her co-star in Independence Day, Will Smith, knew about the film because he was dating Jada Pinkett, who had already been cast. And even he could see it. Vivica made more sense as Frankie.
So Will Smith was my coach for Set It Off. So we went in and he was like, "You gotta just like take this shit, Vivica. Like you can do this." I said, "Yeah, TT, you know, yeah, Frank."
When it came time to audition for Set It Off, she read for both roles, and everyone knew that she was perfect for Frankie. When Rosie Perez eventually dropped out of the project, the role opened up. And this time, it was Vivica's.
Of course, people will remember you from Independence Day. You were Will Smith's love interest.
Jasmine.
Jasmine, yes. And now here you are doing a complete 180 in this movie, Set It Off.
The role would be a sharp pivot in how audiences knew her. Until then, she had largely been cast as the glamorous pretty girl, with guest appearances on Out All Night and Beverly Hills 90210, reinforcing that image. Frankie required her to toughen up, show the world that she had street cred. Vivica understood what the role demanded, and she was ready to show it.
I was probably the only character in the film that was actually living the story that was being played in the film of being completely broke.
Kimberly Elise was fresh out of film school when she auditioned for the role of Tashawn T.T. Williams, a character who was struggling to make ends meet to take care of her son. She auditioned traditionally and killed it.
You know, she had these big, just doughy eyes, and you really want to just hug her and say, everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be all right. I was like, wow, this is great. I could see everyone wanting to protect her.
And action! The film was shot in just 39 days in Los Angeles. Compared to the other projects New Line Cinema had on its slate that year, Set It Off was relatively low budget, coming in at around $9 million. That number becomes more revealing in context. Just 1 month earlier, New Line was preparing to release The Long Kiss Goodnight, a glossy action film with reported budget of $65 million. The difference spoke volumes about where the studio placed its bets.
Can we do this and pull it off? That's what I wanted to see. You know what I'm saying? I mean, can we actually have female action heroes?
This film was a risk. A crime film with 4 Black women leads had never been done before, and the studio didn't know what to do with it. Set It Off premiered on November 4th, 1996. It arrived without spectacle or inflated expectations.
This morning I kind of looked around and I looked at everybody and it was like, wow, I'm not gonna see you guys for a little while because now we've done the film. It's gonna take about 4 to 6 months to edit it and everything, and we've spent a lot of time together and we've been through a lot.
The film opens inside a bank, and Frankie, played by Vivica A. Fox, is working as a teller. She's moving through a routine shift when Darnell, a man she recognizes from the neighborhood, steps up to her stall and pulls out a gun. He tells her to empty the drawer.
I want nothing to do with this.
Frankie freezes, and in the shock of the moment, she forgets the protocol that tellers are trained to follow during a robbery. Then, everything escalates.
Come on, let's get this money, baby.
When Frankie hesitates, Darnell fires on a woman in front of her. This is the film's first fatality, and it lands with intention. This movie isn't playing around just because the protagonists are women. It's gonna punch you in the face. A gunfight ensues and a police officer is downed, but one of the assailants, Lorenz, gets away.
We'll get out of here. What's the procedure when you're being robbed?
In the aftermath, Frankie is pulled into a room with a detective, Detective Strode, and the bank managers. She is no longer a victim. She is a suspect because she knew the people from the neighborhood, because she froze, and because she did not follow protocol while being held at gunpoint. They imply she was involved.
I can't help who I know.
She reminds them that she is one of the hardest workers in the bank. It doesn't matter to them.
I'm afraid, Miss Sutton, we're gonna have to let you go.
She gets emotional. Of course she does. And that becomes a problem as well.
And you gotta fire me?
Calm down.
You can't even wait.
As if witnessing what she saw is something you can process quietly. To the side, a Black female officer sits drinking water, observing. Frankie notices and says,
You didn't even bother to ask me if I was thirsty, sister.
No one in that room sees her as a person who survived something traumatic. They see her as a stereotype, someone disposable, someone suspect. Even the person she thought might have a bit of empathy for her chooses distance instead. That is the moment the film makes its point clear. Frankie's punishment begins long before she ever commits a crime.
She's involved. I want everything you have on her.
We then find ourselves at a throwback party. Lita Stoney Newsome, played by Jada Pinkett, is throwing for her brother Stevie for being accepted into UCLA. We also meet Cleopatra Cleo Sims and Tashawn T.T. Williams, played by Queen Latifah and Kimberly Elise. At the party, Stevie tells Stoney that he can't go to UCLA because he didn't get a scholarship. But Stoney, being the protective older sister, tells him she'll take care of it, even though she works a low-paying job at Luther's janitorial. He's mean as hell.
I'm docking your pay.
Cleo finds out that the bank robbers got off with $20,000, and the seed is sowed that if those guys could do it and get away, they could definitely do it.
The four of us could take a bank.
All the girls have their own motivations. Stoney's brother needs tuition. TT needs money to take care of her son. Cleo wants to be able to floss around the neighborhood. And Frankie can't get another job after the accusations against her.
Frankie, I heard what happened at the bank the other day. Keep your head up, girl, all right?
The film was ahead of its time in how it handled Cleo's sexuality. This was not something mainstream cinema had really made space for before, especially not in a studio film centered on Black women. Cleo is not coded. She is not hinted at. She is openly, confidently queer. That visibility came with weight. Queen Latifah, of course, had reservations. She didn't want the public projecting any aspect of Cleo onto her real life. Not yet, at least. "I'm not the woman I'm playing in Set It Off," she said. "I was somebody before these characters existed, a real person, and I'll be that person forever."
My mother had, if anybody, had like anxiety with the, the lifestyle issues of Cleo. But, I think I did what I needed to do, which was to make you forget about all that.
Stoney is the one who resists the idea of robbing the bank at first. She still believes there is another way.
It's true we could do some suicidal like rob a bank. But we ain't crazy.
She sees Nate Andrews, a used car salesman who is attracted to her. Stoney is direct with him. She needs money, an advance to help cover her brother's tuition.
I'm in a bind, Nate.
Nate listens, then makes the terms clear. He will help, but only if she sleeps with him. She regretfully agrees.
You stand the smell of this garbage.
Frankie begins working at Luther's and brings up the idea of robbing the bank again.
Before they started laying people off, they was paying folks $15 an hour at that place.
We often look back on the 90s through rose-colored glasses, nostalgia. These women sit around and talk about working at a factory like it was some sort of dream. $15 an hour, $22.50 with overtime, became a symbol of stability for them, of dignity, of being able to count on something. That nostalgia here is about security, because Black personhood, Black womanhood in the 90s did not come with it. For every Queen Latifah, there was a 2 Live Crew. For every Rodney King, there's a Latasha Harlins. According to the September 1993 census report, We the American Blacks, Black women were working. Nearly 60% were in the labor force by the end of the previous decade, often carrying households on their backs. Yet, Black unemployment stood at 13%, more than double the 5% rate for white, and more than half of Black children lived in one-parent homes. And the financial gap was sharp. In 1989, the median income for Black families maintained by women was just $12,520. And all of this sat against a backdrop of policies and policing that destabilized families, from the legacy of the man in the house welfare rules to the war on drugs and aggressive over-policing of community. So, the longing for a stable job and a stable life wasn't something that only happened in the movies.
Since we don't pick cotton anymore and cut sugar cane, our lives is not worth anything.
This scene is one of my favorites in the movie because for a moment, there is a small pocket of peace. But even in that stillness, the weight of what these women are going through never really leaves. What the film does so powerfully is show how crime becomes, in their mind, a form of agency. Not because they are thrill-seeking, not because they are careless, but because they are cornered. If the world is already gonna punish them for the intersection of race, gender, class, and sexuality that they occupy, then what's the point of having some sort of moral high ground? The system has already decided what they are worth. So the film forces us to sit with a really hard question. If the only doors open to you lead you nowhere, at what point does breaking one down start to feel like the only option?
Only way we're gonna see cash is we take a bank.
Nate gives Stoney the money, and when she shows it to her brother, he tells her he never really got into UCLA, making all she did for nothing.
You tell me not to go
she
off on
rips
you.
up the
Do
check.
you have any idea what I had to go through?
Stevie is set up by one of the robbers, Lorenz, who is hiding from the law. Lorenz convinces Stevie to get the same haircut as him,
Hook him up. He ain't even from Acorn.
and the police gun him down in a case of mistaken identity, claiming they mistook the bottle in his hand for a gun. Stoney is absolutely devastated. Detective Strode was the one who was in charge of the operation, and he's very cold to the girls.
There'll be a full investigation.
The same officer, Detective Waller, steps in as the situation escalates. She positions herself firmly between the girls and Strode. In that moment, her allegiance is clear. It's to the badge.
Headed for college, I hear both parents killed in a car accident 4 years ago.
Stoney, now feeling like she has nothing to lose, agrees to rob the bank with the girls.
Let's do it.
While casing the place with TT, she meets Keith, played by Blair Underwood. He's a bank manager, and he asks her out for dinner. TT's son gets taken away after getting into cleaning supplies after she took him to work because she couldn't afford a babysitter.
Now, Jawan will remain in our custody until you can pay for proper childcare.
What if I can't come up with the money?
The stakes have become way too high, and each woman feels like now, with their desperation and Frankie's knowledge of bank operations, they gotta do it.
I need something I can set it off with.
Their first heist is at the South Los Angeles Savings and Loan.
Okay.
These wigs are hilarious, and TT drops out, too chicken to do it. The girls make it out with the cash.
$12,000 in 60 seconds.
And Frankie does not think TT deserves a cut. She backed out at the last minute, and in Frankie's mind, that means she did not earn it. But the others push back.
I need that money.
In the end, they agree to split the money 4 ways anyway. Keith and Stoney begin to see each other and realize that they really enjoy each other's company, even though they're essentially from 2 different worlds.
Do you feel free?
Strode starts to zero in on Stoney and the rest of the crew, but his boss shuts it down.
What the hell's wrong with you, Strode?
With the department already under scrutiny for the shooting of Stevie, the last thing they want is to be accused of wrongly targeting his sister. Cleo spends the $3K and is ready to hit another bank. Stoney pushes back, but Frankie is already leaning towards doing it again.
All right, Louise, you take Thelma over there and y'all go rob another bank.
The fracture starts there, 2 of them wanting to keep the adrenaline going, while the others start to feel the ground shifting beneath them, especially TT. She needs more money if she has any hope of getting her son back from CPS.
So you gotta step to that judge and prove you got some coins in the bank.
I ain't doing that without Stone.
From there, the robberies escalate, and they are sloppy about it. No gloves, no real concern for what they are leaving behind. It is wild. And it is intentional. The film wants you to feel how fast things are spiraling, how these women are overconfident. They end up with $75,000 each and stash the money in an air vent at one of their cleaning spots. It feels safe until they come back and realize it's gone. Luther took it. They track him down to a hotel. He is there with a woman of the night. He pulls a gun, and in that moment, TT shoots him.
Oh, where's the money?
Luther's lady is later brought in for a police lineup. She's shaken, clearly intimidated.
Alyssa Lyons, 483 Moorpark.
When police ask her to identify the shooter, she says Cleo didn't do it, which technically is true.
Got Cleo and yo! Killed Luther.
Stoney is not there when any of this happens. She's out on a date with Keith, trying to briefly exist in a different version of her life.
You said we weren't gonna hurt anybody, Frankie.
When she finds out what went down, it rattles her. Cleo knows the police are on their trail, and now facing some serious potential jail time, they decide they need to do one more hit.
Rob another bank and get the out of here, or we gonna be in jail by tomorrow morning.
At Downtown Federal, where Keith works. No one has ever successfully robbed it.
These girls are the real deal.
Stoney calls Keith to divert him away from the chaos she knows is about to happen. During the heist, Strode and Waller intervened.
And I'm sorry about your brother. I'm sorry about Stevie. I'm sorry he's dead. I swear to God.
Stoney and TT start to crack, and in the middle of it all, they begin to confess. They take off their masks, they put their weapons down, and for a split second, it feels like they're choosing another ending. Then bank security shoots TT in the chest. Everything spirals from there. Cleo opens fire, exchanging bullets with the cops as they rush back to the car, and whatever plan they had is gone. TT passes away in the backseat of the getaway car.
But I'll catch up to y'all later, I promise.
The three surviving ladies split up to evade the police. Cleo takes them on a high-speed chase, broadcast live on TV. The police kill her in a final shootout. As an aside, I have seen a lot of movies, and this is easily one of the 5 hardest death scenes to watch for me. I have a visceral reaction every single time. It is loud, desperate, and humiliating. Cleo goes out fighting because there is no other option left. All of the performances feel painfully authentic, but Queen Latifah's work hits especially hard. Filming the scene was traumatic for her. She later said she was thinking about her brother, Lance, who had died just 4 years earlier at the age of 24. That grief was still sitting really close to the surface. It followed her off set too. The morning after filming that scene, Latifah was pulled over by police and charged with loaded gun possession. She had her reasons. The year before, she had been the victim of a carjacking, during which 2 18-year-olds shot her bodyguard. He survived, but the moment stayed with her. She had testified in the attempted murder trial of the assailants just months before Set It Off hit theaters. None of this existed in a vacuum. When we get back to the story, Stoney blends into a tourist group headed for Mexico. She boards the bus just in time to see Frankie's final standoff with cops.
What's the procedure when you got a gun at your head?
Frankie almost makes it. Almost. They shoot her in the back as she runs away.
We just taken away from the system. It's f***ing us all anyway.
There was hesitancy from New Line Cinema once the film released. There was a fear on their part that this film would spark a stream of Black women robbing banks across the country.
It had so many red flags. Was it a responsible portrayal? Was it going to suddenly inspire a bunch of bank robberies?
That anxiety is telling. No one asked those questions about Ocean's 11 or Inside Man or, hell, even Thelma and Louise. And don't get me wrong, I love these movies, but in those stories, the characters are granted something this film withholds. They get to escape, or they get to choose their ending. Their rebellion is framed as clever, strategic, or even romantic. And Set It Off, that grace does not exist. 3 of the 4 women are killed, and not by their own hand, by the state. The violence is imposed. It feels corrective. As if the film, or at least the system surrounding it, needs to make something very clear. Don't get any bright ideas. This is what happens if you try it. Stoney shaves her head and gets away, changing her appearance so she won't be easy to find. Later, she calls Keith.
Thank you.
She has half the cash, which the film leads us to believe is around $250,000. It is an ending that looks like an escape, but does not feel like a victory. Stoney survives. That is all she is given. In Set It Off, survival all alone is the closest thing to freedom anyone gets. She has no one. No family, no friends. She's alone. And that isolation may be worse than anything anyone else endures. Then there's this subtle reframing of Strode. The film almost grants him a moral pass for seeing her on the bus and letting her go, as if restraint is the same thing as redemption.
Stop.
It is not. He helped set all of this in motion. If he had not profiled Frankie, if his men had taken a few more seconds before realizing Stevie wasn't their suspect, none of this would have happened. In a film that is otherwise so grounded, that soft landing for him feels like a reminder that this is still Hollywood. You can't be too real. We gotta have a savior somehow, and who cares if he killed everyone she loves? He let her go.
Much better than the other women buddy pictures this year. It's better than the First Wives Club. It's better than Waiting to Exhale last year. It's the best of these pictures.
Ebert gave it a thumbs up. Siskel gave it a thumbs down. Some critics got it, some didn't. It's kinda crazy how bold some critics were in the 90s. Critic Margaret A. McGurk wrote in the Cincinnati Enquirer, screenwriters Kate Lanier and Takashi Buford and director F. Gary Gray deserve credit for sidestepping the ghetto melodrama trap to turn Set It Off into a modern fable with a human heart.
What the f*** is that?
The film more than quadrupled its budget, making $41.6 million, proving the audience was there for these stories all along.
My brother was in Brooklyn. He was calling me up. He's like, every homeboy is out to see this movie.
From the very beginning, the film makes it clear that every consequence is intentional. Set It Off is not careless with violence. It is precise. The women are not punished just because they are reckless. They are punished because the film understands the limits placed around them. Poor, black, woman. Their choice is narrow. Even surrender is denied grace. The ending is not tragic by accident. It is instructional, and it is by design. For all of the empowerment the film allows them, for all of the agency they take hold of, there's a subtext underneath. They were never meant to get away. Not in this world. 4 black women who outsmart the police, secure the money, and disappear into new lives would have been too radical, too disruptive to the moral order mainstream cinema likes to restore by the final frame. Crime, especially when committed by these demographics, has to be corrected. The scale has to be balanced. The state has to reassert itself. So, the story tightens. The escape narrows. Survival comes at a cost so steep it barely resembles triumph. The film gives them power, voice, and even a little bit of glory, but it cannot let them win. Because in this world, women like them were never meant to.